And welcome in to a fairly slow Tuesday, but I've got a little plan that I thought we might take a look at for today. The moon slipped into Taurus. Oh, good morning. It's Thomas Miller. Whenever you're catching this on the Fun Astrology podcast, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, the moon slipped into Taurus at about 5:30 this morning, and that's really the only change of anything astronomical, at least in the sky. What we're really looking at now is tomorrow's Mercury retrograde, and then Thursday's 24-degree crescendo. So that's Pluto, Mars, and Eris. And then Friday, the Moon Wobble peaks. So it's almost like we're just running toward this crescendo of energy that, as I thought, okay, so what has happened in this Moon Wobble over the past 3 weeks? Well, we've had, in the U.S. alone, the two major shootings and the riots that ensued. And then literally, and I don't want this to be a big depressing list, but I just, if you didn't believe that this stuff is real, just think about what all has happened. That's the only thing. It's not get all wrapped up in this. Just think about what has happened. We've had those two things, and now they're actually talking in some places about disbanding police departments. Think about the magnitude of that. I open up this morning's headlines, and I see that there is now a clash on the border between India and China, a military clash. And the other one that's huge, and I'm afraid that this one will get buried in the headlines, is North Korea has now moved into the demilitarized zone between them and South Korea. That one, keep your eye on. See, this stuff is amazing because this energy that we're talking about, especially Thursday's 24, 24, 24, that being Pluto at 24 degrees Capricorn, Mars being 24 degrees Pisces, and Eris being 24 degrees Aries. That's on Thursday, but boy, we are moving toward it. And then I saw a headline yesterday that people in Hong Kong are fleeing because they're fearing mass oppression as Beijing tightens down on their overtaking of Hong Kong, which happened in this moon wobble. Another headline catching my eye said that New Zealand has reported 2 new cases of COVID, both imported. The reason that caught my eye was because they've done such an amazing job, I think, not only from a standpoint of what they did, but also energetically of keeping this virus away. And now, of course, as these reopenings take place, the counts are going up across the board. And here is a New York Times headline. I'm not going to read the headline because I don't agree with it, but it says, cash-starved states are forced to make massive job cuts. Reopenings for some restaurants and bars are short-lived amid new infections. And then today's also headline is that President Trump is thinking about a $1 trillion infrastructure bill. And at least this morning, that has the very yo-yo-esque stock market looking like it might yo-yo upward this morning based on just that news. And excuse me, but who is going to pay for that? Other headlines, some bars and restaurants just opened, now they're closed again. Facing huge budget gaps, governments have furloughed or laid off more than 1.5 million workers. It just goes on and on and on, right? We could read that kind of thing into oblivion. One other one yesterday that the Fed, the U.S. Federal Reserve, is going to be buying corporate bonds. You know what they're trying to do with that is prevent the massive bond default that cost people a lot of money, major amounts of money back in the 07-08 crash. They're trying to prevent that now. So, these are just ominous, incredible times, all triggered, as we said, by the domino trip, if you will, of Saturn and Pluto back on January 12th of this year. So I've got those videos. If you'd like to check them out, they're in soulfoodtalks.com. Go to the freebies box, and there's the Saturn-Pluto video, and then also the video about the aspects that take place over the next 2 years in there, the 2020 through 2024 aspect video. A lot of you have grabbed that, but just reminding those of you who haven't that those free resources are available there. And check out the astrology shop while you're there, because there might be a couple of things in there that you'd like to pick up as well. So tomorrow we'll take a look at some of the aspects that will happen during this Mercury retrograde. And just realize, I mean, this is the energy that we are in. And I think how we all respond to it individually, I mean, that's the key to what we do. And what's really present for me is getting in touch with our own intuitions. And that means turning down the noise. I have a headline app that I scan, and that's where I pulled a lot of that stuff, but I don't drill down on it. I look at what's going on just because you need to stay abreast. But boy, turn that part of the noise down and tune in to that newsroom in your own consciousness and let it guide you through this step by step. But we'll be taking a look at all of the aspects as they come and picking them apart. The big global map, as I said, is there in soulfoodtalks.com. All right, have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow for the beginning of the second Mercury retrograde of 2020.